I don't know about you, but I've been bombarded by whiskey cask ads at the moment. So all these setups where you can buy a portion of a whiskey cask and then that can be sold off in the future. And a lot of these whiskey casks appreciate in value from 10 to 15% over a few years. And it seems like a good thing to be in. And I'm fortunate enough to be interviewing CJ here from Whiskees NFT, and he's building a project around that concept as well, but then also adding that NFT collectability behind it too. So now you can buy an NFT from the project and own a portion of a whiskey cask, but then also have that tradable asset of the NFT, and you can trade that within an ecosystem like NFT marketplaces, etc., etc. So if you're a fan of whiskey and you're a fan of NFTs, this project might be for you. So check it out. We also have an NFT giveaway as well, so make sure you check out the details right at the end of this interview.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debate.
Let's get a little bit of an overview for the people that don't know the project in general. So we're all up to speed about the Whisky NFT project.
Sure. Sounds good. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me back. Good to talk again. So Whiskees NFTs, my name's CJ. As Pete said, I'm the founder of Whiskees NFTs. So we're a collection on Cardano that essentially is when you mint a Whiskees NFT, it's 50% unique digital art. And then the other 50% of your mint price goes straight into investing in Irish and Scotch whiskey casks. So when I say whiskey casks, that's actually the filled. So whiskey cask is a wooden barrel, right? If everyone's seen the wooden barrel. But these are casks that are filled with those respective whiskeys. And the thing about whiskey casks is they actually appreciate as they age. So they typically appreciate 15 to 20% per year. So essentially, as the whiskey, the longer it ages in the barrel, it kind of like takes away the initial harshness of whiskey. Whiskey's actually super clear when you first distill it, which is super interesting. And then the barrel is where it gets about 60 to 80% of its flavor and then also all of its color. So the wood within the actual barrel itself is where that's where the magic happens for whiskey. So, but yeah, anyways, our project essentially is, half art project and then also half kind of whiskey cask investments, which kind of have a lot of value, which, we can get into as well.
So let's get into the project a little bit. Now, you mentioned the two aspects about it, the NFTs itself, and then also the investment side of things with the NFTs. Can you explain a little bit about those or elaborate a little bit more on that?
So one thing we're kind of doing differently is our NFT design is our artist, Tim, has done awesome, by the way. He's designed kind of an NFT that's more like a whiskey label, and it's going to be 36 different cities from around the world. And it's basically, it looks like a condo, like a high-rise condo, and you're looking out at these different cityscapes. Kind of, there's usually a whiskey next to the person, and you're kind of taking it all in, right? Like, and just enjoying whiskey in the way that you like to. So there's a lot of different features within the NFT and the condos. So we set up these different rarity tiers. And the one thing you can do with our project is actually mint the rarity tier that you want. So we have a rarity that's down to $50 per the NFT, and then one that's all the way to $1,000. There's not very many of the $1,000 ones. So you get to mint your rarity all within our policy ID. So it's really up to you, right? Like, kind of what level of whiskey ownership do you want to have? Knowing that 50% of everything you mint, right, no matter what rarity tier you have, goes to the whiskey cask kind of investment piece of it. So it's kind of a cool, interesting concept. We're using NMaker for the mint, and Sandro is our developer who works over there. So super pumped to have him to kind of go through this and get us all set up in that way. But yeah, that's kind of one other unique thing about us too, is that we're not only like bridging the digital and physical world, but we also kind of have a different minting style for the rarity tiers. And then actually within each tier, there is rarity built into the tier. So there'll only be certain cities within certain tiers. So we're kind of making the art side really fun and cool too, from that end.
It's interesting that you went for the ability to mint the rarity that you want. Is there what's the investment side attached to the rarities?
So from the investment side, it's really the same, right? No matter.
Yeah, okay.
So I guess one way to look at it is, right, like to get access to whiskey casks, you have to commit a significant amount of capital, and usually it's somewhere upwards of like $25,000. And then you got to know which distillery you want to go with. You got to know, like how much do you want to have, how long do you want to hold it. So there's a lot of things that go into that. We've partnered with a cask consulting firm that is helping us kind of have the connections, because the whiskey industry in Scotland and Ireland connections are like everything. Kind of like a lot of businesses or some of those old time businesses. So we've done all that homework to kind of find some of the rarest whiskey we can from these different distilleries around, Scotland and Ireland. But anyways, if you were to do it yourself, like I said, you have to spend 25,000. That's a lot of money, right, for someone to have on there. Our model, kind of like parsing it out this way, allows people to spend as little as $50 or as much as $1,000 on an NFT. That kind of gives you that same level of access. So our split with the rarity tiers was just kind of to say, hey, if you want to go ahead and mint the rarest tier, and also you want to commit $1,000 to the whiskey cask portion, we're allowing people the option to do that. So, but also not discriminating people, right? Because you can also just spend $50 and also get in as well. So.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes total sense there. Now, in terms of the mint timeline, how far along are you in the project to be able to start minting and getting this into the hands of people?
Yeah, we're actually, it's coming up, so I'm super happy I'm talking to you. On April 6th, we will have our pre-sale mint of only 555 NFTs. So it's about like 5.5% of what we hope to plan to mint. But given the kind of the market conditions that we're in right now, we wanted to kind of show proof of concept as well. So we're going to do a small mint of about 5.5% of our planned total collection. So we'll have we've been giving away whitelists. I actually just released our wallet verification today within our Discord for people to kind of go in and do that. But essentially, yeah, we're gonna have that sale on April 6th. So we're super excited. March is a huge month for NFTs. You got like the Stag Alliance, Goofy Gophers just went yesterday or 2 days ago, whatever it was. And just there's so many great ones that are coming. So we're just super excited. It's a good time to be in the Cardano NFT space.
It is definitely busy at the moment. Now, you mentioned something else there. You're doing 500 or so NFTs in this mint, but most collections have like a limit, 10,000 so as the limit. Will there be a limit for this project? Because I can see it being like an unlimited amount of NFTs, because you can make an unlimited amount of whiskey casks and barrels, etc.
Yeah, so we're gonna 10,000 that's our goal for this policy ID essentially. So for this project, I'm gonna call it Series 1. So for our first series of the Irish and Scotch whiskey, we're gonna release in phases, and so this pre-sale will kind of be like our first phase. And then we'll kind of go from there and release, according to kind of market demand and kind of see how we're going. The good thing, I guess, is that different distilleries have different cask availabilities depending on when they actually produce a batch. So we're going to actually, if we spread it out a little bit, we'll get different casks from different time or from different distilleries, which is kind of nice too. So it kind of gives us some like diversification within the portfolio for the whiskey casks.
That's actually pretty cool. And of course, there's different types of whiskeys. I drink a lot of Japanese whiskey at the moment. So it's I guess you have to build up partnerships with different companies around the world to be able to actually do something like that as well.
Yeah, I would love to, I have pie in the sky dreams of going full-time Web3. But yeah, I think for a second, third, even potential fourth drop, whatever, we'd probably target bourbon next. That's a big market that's really been growing. And there's so many distilleries now that are kind of popping up outside of Kentucky, obviously outside of Tennessee. So, and then, yeah, like you mentioned, Japanese whiskey is really big. They have some really refined craft, some great whiskey out of Japan too. But yeah, our bread and butter, kind of where we have the connections right now, is out of the Scotland and Irish markets. And that's kind of why we're focusing there. And then also, I'd say Irish and Scotch are kind of like they were the origination, right? Or like where it all began for whiskey. So there's a lot of value in Scotch. It's kind of like the top dog, I'd say, from a whiskey perspective, at least from like commanding market share. And then Irish is pretty big. I don't think it's as big as bourbon, but it's pretty big. And the demand is actually surging right now, just because there aren't a lot of distilleries compared to what the demand kind of is looking for. A little history, I won't go too far in, is that back in the prohibition for the U.S., right, when they stopped allowing the sale of alcohol in the United States, they actually started cutting Irish whiskey. So they'd ship it to the United States, and then they would cut it, meaning they'd water it down. And then that kind of tarnished the brand. So Irish whiskey kind of went through a rough time where somehow that didn't really happen as much with Scotch, but for Irish whiskey it did. And so that used to be the most popular whiskey in the world was Irish whiskey. And then Scotland kind of took its place. But Irish whiskey is still obviously really good. And it's just kind of making that resurgence. And so again, the demand is just crazy right now for it.
Thanks for the little history lesson there. It's actually quite interesting to get some of those tidbits. Now, in terms of community and the growth and the marketing of the project, how is that all looking at the moment?
Yeah, it's going pretty good. So our main two places are Discord and Twitter. So I've been kind of slowly grinding and going on Twitter Spaces, kind of doing other interviews, kind of spreading the word to people. I think it's a little bit hard to kind of incorporate people like, why would I want to own whiskey, right? Or is this just another like bottle to NFT project, which there's quite a few of those, but like not many people have really focused on the cask aspect of it. And that's where I think that's where all the value is, like once you bottle a whiskey out of a cask, that's its age statement, right? So if it says 10-year whiskey, that means that no matter if you held that on your shelf for another like 20 years, that would still be 10-year whiskey because that's when it was bottled out of the cask. So the value accrual, right? Like the whiskey doesn't get better as it sits in the bottle. It only gets better as it sits in the cask. So essentially the cask is where the magic happens. So I think that's where we're unique, is that there's not many projects that have tried to kind of put NFT and or whatever else within the crypto world to whiskey casks. And that's just a super kind of novel concept that I haven't seen in any of my research really across the different chains. So especially with Irish and Scotch whiskey, it just really hasn't been done. So that's where I think it's super exciting. But we're trying to convince people too, right? Like, why do you want to own whiskey? I think one of the cool things that I always go back to is it does really well in a bear market and in a bull market. So midway through 2022, just some numbers, essentially, Bitcoin went down 60%, right? Stocks went down 20%. Gold was even down. I forget how much it was. It might've been 2%. Bonds were down 12% or something crazy. So, but whiskey was up 8%, so it just kind of steadily goes along, right? People, if you're down on your luck, maybe you turn to whiskey, but also if you're celebrating, right, in a bull market, you go to whiskey as well. So I don't know, it just it performs well, and it's been doing it for hundreds of years. So it's not just like something that's like popped up out of the blue. It's like I would say it's a real and reliable rate of return because, the demand has really done nothing but grown, right, ever since then. And it's because you can't just distill a whiskey, call it a 10-year age whiskey, 5-year, 3-year, at a snap of your fingers, right? It literally has to age for all those different time points. And I think that's where the magic happens really. And that's where, I'm excited to see what we can do with the project.
Yeah, definitely. I really think it's one of those industries that can work through any market conditions, really, like you said. Now, now back to your marketing aspects, and I think I did see you on a Twitter space on an Ethereum Twitter space. But how have you found engaging with other chains at the moment, other blockchains like Ethereum?
Yeah. So one of the things, we're trying to do too is just kind of show people the possibilities with whiskey. So yeah, I have been on Ape Spaces, which is a really big Ethereum based, they do all chains, but Ethereum based platform where people kind of pitch their different NFT projects. So yeah, we've gotten a lot of good traction on there, and we've had a lot of people that join the community from there as well. I think that's one of the things that I want to focus on too, is like, I love Cardano. Don't get me wrong. I've been in it for a really long time, since 2018 in January. It's where we're building our project, but I do think that, I don't want it to be so divided, right? I want to educate people about like the opportunities that are in Cardano. And I think going cross chain is a cool way to do that. And so that's why we've been kind of pushing wherever we can, just to kind of get that exposure, and just for people to hear about what we're building. And people have said, oh, this is unique, right? This is something I haven't heard about. And that's across all the other, blockchains as well. So we're super excited to kind of convert them, right? Bring them into the Cardano ecosystem and kind of see all the cool stuff that we're doing as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant. It definitely is the type of project that can be cross-chain and bring people in from various parts of the crypto sphere, and especially expose them to Cardano. So that would be very exciting to see the project grow and see the community grow from other ecosystems as well. So fingers crossed for you to see how that all goes. I do love the artwork. I do love the style. I work closely with Tim as well. He's a brilliant NFT artist.
So good.
I'm looking forward to seeing this one out in the world.
Yeah, and I didn't give enough props to Tim. He's designed a couple, as you mentioned, right? Great projects. Aqua Farmers was the big one that he worked on with the Liquid team. So he has experience, right? Sandra has experience. I always say I'm the newbie, but I got the band together. But yeah, it's we're so excited to kind of get the project rolling and do the pre-sale and get everybody excited about whiskey.
All right, brilliant, CJ. Thank you for joining me again on this episode. I'm really looking forward to the mint, and good luck with it all.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, thank you for watching all the way to end. And like I said, there is that NFT giveaway, the Whisky NFT giveaway. All you have to do is follow the tweet for this particular video, and you'll be able to see there that you just need to follow, like, and retweet that particular tweet. And one lucky winner will win one of these Whisky NFTs. And all you have to do is just participate in that little Twitter competition as well. So quick and easy for you guys to get into. Now, if you really enjoyed this content, please consider giving me that thumbs up, click subscribe, click on the notification bell, and you'll hear so much more Cardano related content from me. All right, see you in the next video.
Yeah, gotta do it like that. You've been listening to the Learn Cardano podcast. Gotta get it hype. Crypto is what we like, but this is not investment or financial advice. Gotta do your research, cause it's risky. We know it is. This show is educational and it's informative. Crypto's the future, really, it ain't no debating.